always works out that way, because if a physician takes care of only his patient, he may be doing harm to other patients or to society at large. He may be doing, by taking care of one patient, he may be sidestepping thousands of others, maybe even killing them.
Right. Before I let us get too far afield, let me bring it back to something.
Sorry.
No, that's fascinating. But you said you knew when you were embarking on this book that it was a dangerous book. Dangerous to you in what ways?
Oh, well, not dangerous to me, per se. I mean, dangerous, when I say dangerous, I mean that I wouldn't have total or perhaps even partial cooperation. And as it turned out, that was exactly what happened. You know, I tried going through his agent, I tried going through his publishers, I tried going through his lawyer. I went through all of his friends, or a good many of them at any rate. I approached the women in his life. I tried to contact his children, and my cooperation from them was limited, off the record, or not at all. So, I mean, you know, the danger was in signing a contract saying that I can deliver a book in a specified amount of time. And then, you know, coming up against so many brick walls that you begin to wonder whether or not you can actually meet the contract. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, I remember, this may, insofar as what it is that I do, you know, and what I write about, the danger might be this. I might be able to sum it up in a story or, you know, in a quick anecdote. That from the time that I was writing about Blue Wasserman, I was working on the last novel. I was speaking with a good friend of mine, a screenwriter, shortly after I set out to do the book. And when I told him what the subject was and what I was trying to do with the last novel, he said, "My God, aren't you afraid that you'll never write in this town again?" And I said, I'm just going to forget what kind of a cliche passed your lips and answer you in this way. I never wrote in this fucking town in the first place. I don't care if I write in this town again, because I don't do what you do. And I am beholden to no one, and that's the only reason that I'm recognized on the other coast as the kind of journalist that book editors want to get into bed with, because I can't be bought and sold. So I ran into variations on that theme throughout my research and my interviews on the Nicholson book. There were people who said, "Oh my God, you know, you're writing a book about Jack, and you're telling all of the things about him that he doesn't necessarily want the public to know about. Are you crazy?" And I said, "No, that's what I do." And, you know, I think that's all kind of a myth anyway. I mean, the notion that if you, you're not going to find an outlet for your work if you step on too many toes. I didn't believe that years ago, and I still don't. You know, I mean, I stepped on Wasserman's toes. I stepped on Otis Chandler's toes. I wrote about Robert Blake and, essentially accused him of murdering his wife. And Nicholson, so I wrote about Nicholson. Hey, I'm still here. I'm still writing. In fact, I'm looking at, right now, I'm looking at the possibility of writing about yet another Hollywood icon. But I'm not going to tell you who it is yet.
Who wrote Easy Riders, Raging Bulls? Peter Biskin.
Peter Biskin, yeah.
Yeah, I guess he's doing Buck and Warren Beatty.
Oh, yeah, right. Yes, Peter, I spoke to Peter early on. He's a friend of mine.
Was this book harder or easier than The Lost Michael?
I think it was easier. The Last Mogul was difficult for a number of reasons. First of all, nobody had ever done it before. No one dared to write a word about Lew Wasserman. The reason I did the book was because nobody had written anything about it. When I was covering the writer's strike for the LA Times in 1989, this name kept cropping up, people kept saying, oh, geez, when Lew Wasserman weighs in on this, the whole thing will be over in about 5 minutes. When I had been covering Hollywood for, 10 years, and I said, Wasserman, you mean the guy over at Universal? And they said, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, so what? So some studio head has control over the Writers Guild? And, I started getting a basic education in how Hollywood really works. And I went to the Times library at the time, and I looked up Wasserman, and there was like one envelope of clips. Probably not more than, 2 or 3 dozen articles, only a half dozen of which were more than a few inches long, that had been published in the Los Angeles Times over a 50-year period. And I went, that's weird. How could this guy have that much power, and the paper of record in Los Angeles has written almost nothing about him over the past 50 years? That doesn't make any sense at all. There was no long interview with him at all. And I started asking around, and I discovered, that Lew Wasserman was powerful because he worked in the shadows. And everyone was cowed by him, including the Los Angeles Times. And that's what spurred me on. To some degree, that's what spurred me on as far as Jack is concerned, because even though he hides in plain sight, most people have no idea who this guy really is.